Hello, my name is Antonio Nieto-Rodriguez, and I'm the author of the Harvard Business Review Project Management Handbook. It's a pleasure to be here in the book launch of the Chinese simplified version with PHEI and Century Wave, which I want to thank very much for supporting and for translating and publishing my Harvard Business Review book in China. So welcome, and I hope you enjoy my presentation, which is going to cover some of the concepts that I cover in the book. So as you can see, you've seen my bio most likely, but I've been engaged, dedicated to project management profession for around 25 years. It's my passion. I am really a practitioner. I've been doing project and PMO director, portfolio manager, big transformation in different companies, Unisys, BNP Paribas, PwC, GSK. I've been teaching in about 20 years on business schools around the world. And then I've been a volunteer for PMI for also more than 10 years. I was the chairman of PMI in 2016, where we launched the Brightline Initiative. And you can see I've published a few books. Harvard Business Review Project Management Handbook has been the most important book I published. I published on strategy implementation playbook, as you can see there. I advise many type of companies. There is no single sector that is affected by the project economy, by projects, right? It's something that it's happening across every industry, every sector. And you can see some of the biggest challenges that these companies are facing is how can we manage our portfolio projects better? Many of the senior leaders of these companies, they call me and say, Antonio, I don't know how many projects we have in our company. I don't know. I think we have a lot, but we cannot control it. And then the second area that they want help is how can we deliver more value faster, better our projects? How can we build project management competencies? So you can see it's very diverse. One of the big concepts I talk about is the project economy. As you can see in the slide, this is representing about 100 years of history. And what you see on the left, it's what it has been, or I call, a world driven by efficiency, a world driven by operations, business as usual, day-to-day activities. What you see is two types of work. The blue work is operational activities. The red, yellow is project work, project-based work, agile work. And you can see that the amount of resources dedicated to operations, it was the priority for many years. Operations was the most important part of a business for many years, for many decades. But over the years, we've become more efficient. We need less people to do the operations with automation and ERP systems. We don't need that much resources. What happens is that the people start working more project-based. They dedicate more time to their own and more projects. But the big disruption happens when artificial intelligence and robots become cheap, easy to implement. They are taking a big part of the operations activities. We don't need people working in operations as much as before. Very few, in fact, if you look into a banking, for example, I spent time in banking. Today, you see more IT developers than bankers. Why? Because artificial intelligence can do a lot of the banking stuff, right? The calculations, the algorithms, the fintech, it's done by machines. So you need less people. What happens in banking, you have most of the employees and managers and senior leaders working project-based in projects, agile teams. That's a very, very big disruption. What are the consequences? So some of the consequences are that the role of the chief operating officer is no longer valid. That was important when operations was big. Now operations is small, so we need another role. I call it the chief project officer. I wrote an article about it. Job descriptions, we don't need them anymore. That's a thing from the past. PMOs, they're also a bit old-fashioned. They need to reinvent themselves. Resource allocation. These are all concepts that were useful in the past, not any longer. Number two, prioritization and focus on implementation. It's a big need for senior leaders. When you have so many projects, up to thousands, senior leader needs to be able to prioritize, be able to say, these are the top 10 projects. That's what we need to deliver. The rest is nice to have. Number three, project managers need to generate revenues, bring the benefits. It's not anymore enough with deliverables. We need to bring benefits. If a big part of the business is project-based, we should bring a big part of the revenues. It's not Waterfall or Agile, it's both. So I'm going to talk about the methodologies and we need to develop new competencies. What is interesting about this disruption is that it's not only the project managers that need to be trained, it's everyone in the organization. Every employee needs to understand modern project management. Every senior leader, every manager needs to understand their role and why this is important. So a great moment and decade for project management, passionate people like me. And I know in China, you are a big example of good project management. So good times for us. If you look at success rate and performance in project management, it's bad. It's not very good. You can see many research from Harvard, from McKinsey, from Brightline. The success rate is actually poor. About 60 to 70% of projects fail. 80% of digital transformation fail. So this is not good for the profession of project management. As past chairman of PMI, I think this is something that we need to address urgently. With the Harvard Business Review book, I'm trying to address that so that we can reduce and increase our success rate. Okay, reasons for project failure. You can group them in three categories. I could group them. One is around project management, the competencies that we have, the methods that we use, the tools that we use, the project leadership. That's an important element. So we need to work on that. But there's two big areas that we can also make big improvements. The senior leaders, their role as sponsors in projects is fundamental. If you're doing a big project and you don't have a sponsor actively involved, that project will fail. So we need to inform, we need to coach senior leaders. We need to help them understand the importance of the role of sponsoring projects. We also need to tell them how important it is to prioritize the projects of their organization so that people have some focus. The third area where we need to influence is the organization and the culture. Are we still in a hierarchical structure? Are we more agile? Culture, I know by researching, Chinese companies have a very strong project-driven culture. And senior leaders understand project management. So I think you are ahead of many Western countries. So congratulations for that. We need to keep working on that if we want to increase project success. So I always talk in project management forums and events and conferences. And what I tell them is we are disrupting every industry, but we forgot to disrupt project management. Project management has been there for 40 years, the one we've been using. How come we don't disrupt it? especially when we know that success rate is so low. So I'm a big believer, and I'm going to give you 3 areas where I believe and we need to disrupt. We started to disrupt. The book is telling us how to disrupt project management to be more successful. First, we need to change the way we monitor performance, the way we manage our projects. Second, we need to expand the life cycle of our projects. Third, we need to simplify project management. And I will talk to you about the project canvas, which is a fundamental framework based from many, many years of research that is covered in the book. And it's a great tool to get alignment and increase your project success. So first, we need to change how we measure projects. You know this concept, the triple constraint or the golden rule: scope, cost, time. This is a fundamental tool in project management, probably one of the most important. But researching many projects, more than thousands, I came up to projects like the one I'm going to tell you. How would you consider a project that originally was scheduled for 4 years and a budget of 7 million, but it took more than 4 years, it took 14, and it cost more than 7 million, it cost 102. Obviously, we think this is a terrible project, right? We should have stopped this project. It was a disaster. We should have never continued, and we should have killed the project. But then I tell you, this project is the Sydney Opera House. What a beautiful building. What an amazing project. Yet project management, traditional project management, says this is a terrible project. How is that possible, right? It's not possible. It's an amazing project. So I thought we need to add more concepts to project management, performance. So you see on blue in this chart, the blue is the triple constraint: scope, budget, time, quality. I'm proposing 2 additional triple constraints in the book and as a concept. Second, the orange that you see here. We need a triple constraint on the benefits, which is driven by the value, the risks that we're taking, and the sustainability over time. The third leg, the third important triple constraint is about the people working in your projects. It's about the engagement of the people, right? Are they supported? Do they dedicate time? Are they aligned with the project? And do we recognize? So this is 2 additional triple constraints that I'm adding so that you can monitor, you can deliver your project, not just on time, budget, on scope, but you focus on benefits. That's a key element of project success. Most of the time is more the benefits that matter, and the people, of course. Then I'm sure you've heard about this debate whether Agile is better or Waterfall is better. And I think it was not a good discussion because both of them are important, right? We need Agile methods in our organization. We need to understand when is a good moment to use Agile, which work streams in your projects you use Agile. Project management and program management, we need that. You cannot do a digital transformation or a sustainability transformation just with Agile. It doesn't work. So we need a bit of everything. We need to learn Lean Startup. We need to learn continuous improvement like Six Sigma. So these are a tool set that we want to develop in our organizations. One method alone, one of the methods that you see only in your company to do all the projects and change, it will be leading to failure. As a project management expert, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to be certified on everything. But as a project manager, what you need to know is my strength is in program management, but I know when we need to use Agile. I know when we need to use continuous improvement. I know when we use lean startup, and I involve the right experts. So this is all around hybrid project management. Another big change in the mindset we need to deliver, we need to build when we're working in projects is an example in Brussels, Belgium, the place of the chocolates and beer. So there is this hospital that they wanted to build. Construction started in 2016, and completion was planned for 2020, 4 years, state-of-the-art hospital. I was passing through that road, and in 2018, 2 years before the project was completed, they opened the hospital. I was surprised. I said, wow, this is revolutionary, right? It's not that they had two sites in the hospital, one constructing, one continuing. No, it was the same building, ground floor, first floor, second floor, open in 2018, 2 years before. Third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor, on the right side, you see the construction. So to me, the life of the project manager on the right is very difficult, right? Oh my God, you need to take care of noise and patience and how we manage that, very difficult. But for the business, for the hospital, for the patients, opening the hospital 2 years in advance has a massive amount of benefits. So as a project manager, we need to think, how can we deliver benefits faster? How can we open the hospital faster so that we can start generating revenues and benefits? It's a bit what you do with Agile concepts, right? But in a bigger scale. Every type of projects, most of them, you could think about delivering the benefits, starting delivering benefits before it's completed, okay? So what you see in this slide is very, very disruptive. On the top slide, on the top side, you see the traditional project life cycle. That's what we've been doing in project management for 40 years. What happens in ideation, innovation, is not part of our scope. We do initiation, planning, implementation, and closing. That's the main scope of the project. What happens after the run goes to somebody else, and the benefits, we talk a little bit about it, but it's not the focus. The modern view of project management, the one that I support, recommend, and advise, is the one at the bottom, which is very different. So ideation, it's important that we learn what happens in innovation, that we facilitate and we connect ideas with projects, ideas with Agile teams, prototyping, lean startup. So we can be a referee, we can be participating and improving that part. We'll do the ideation, planning, implementation, and closing, but sometimes we need to be accountable of running what we built. If we built a new business unit, why don't we run it? If we built a new product, why don't we sell it? Or we are the product owner with the sales and the revenues. And as you can see, benefits for me in the future of project management represent 40% of our focus. We need to talk and engage stakeholders on the benefits. That's what really matters. That's what company wants. That's what senior leaders are expecting, is the benefits, not the deliverables. So I think we need to step up and be delivering benefits. The last piece we're going to spend a bit more time is around simplification. As you can see in this summary slide, the most successful management theories are simple. The first one on the top left is the 5 forces of Michael Porter. Super simple, just one slide, 5 elements. You can think and discuss strategy with your team and senior leaders. The one at the bottom is called the 7 P's of marketing from Philip Kotler. With 7 P's, product, price, place, and so on, you can have a good discussion with your team and senior leaders around defining a marketing plan. Then you have the next one, which is the business model canvas. Very popular. When we're looking at new business, at your own business, this is really a great template, which has been used for used by more than 5 million people. And then Agile. Agile was very simple as well. So I think this is something that we need to keep in mind. But if I would ask you, is there any simple framework in project management, a one-pager that everybody can understand? Let me show you. Well, no. Everything we have in project management, it's complex, it's technical, it's great for us project management professionals, but around 80 to 90% of the people working in a project, including the stakeholders, are not project management professionals. They want to just contribute in the project, understand the project, and deliver the project, get the benefits. But if we bury them with very, very detailed frameworks and methods and documents, they're going to be shying away. They're going to say, I'm not going to apply this. It's very complicated. Yeah, so that's the perception today of project management methods is too complex and technical. It focuses on process, not outcomes. It tons of paperwork and big reports. So people don't apply it and people don't appreciate, senior leaders don't appreciate. So that was my reflection, my research, my analysis. Also as a practitioner working more than 25 years in this space, people didn't love project management. So what I've done is I wanted to develop something very different. I wanted to develop something very easy to apply, also for people who don't want to become professional project managers. Maybe you're listening to this call. I'm sure all of you have projects that you run or you're part of at work, your professional lives and your private lives, but you don't have a tool. You don't want to learn all the details. You just want a framework just to understand how well your project is doing. So that's number one. It should focus on the project fundamentals in a very simple way. That was the second objective. It should help you to identify your strengths and weaknesses in your project, number 3. 4 was we need to have the focus on the things that matter, not 40 pages document who people will not read, just 1 page and focus on what is missing in this project. And the 5th goal was to create alignment around the project. Oh, we understand what this project is about. We're going to help it. We're going to make it happen. Okay, so these are the benefits. If you've read a bit about my work, a few years ago, I developed a first project canvas, the one you see here, small in colors. That's the first project canvas, which was part of an earlier book called The Project Revolution. For Harvard Business Review, I developed a more concise project canvas, more appropriate for non-professionals and senior leaders. I got the advice from Alex Osterwald and Yves Pignon, the founders, the developers of the business model canvas. So you can see a connection. And you can see it's now 9 building blocks divided in 3 domains. This is what you need to know from a high-level point of view about a project. The foundation, the one which is pink, it's the purpose of your project is so important. And I'm going to show you, it's something new that I've introduced in project management to increase engagement from stakeholders, senior leaders, and your teams. Investments and benefits, very strong focus on the benefits. I will tell you a bit more. In my book, you have a lot on that. Second dimension is the people. Projects without people don't exist. So very focused on the sponsorship, executive sponsorship, the resources, internal and external, that you build, that you need to develop your project, and stakeholders. These are the people who will determine and help you to succeed in your project or fail. And the third big dimension is the creation, is what we're doing in the project, is the deliverables, the features, the product, the plan. We can use an agile approach, we can use a hybrid approach, we can use the waterfall approach. The plan is very important. And then the change management, the communication that goes around. So that's the 9 building blocks that if you work on them and you have good definitions, the chances of your project of being successful are very high. I covered this already. So the foundation, purpose, investment benefits, the people side, sponsor, resources and stakeholders, and the creation, deliverables, the plan, and the change. Let me give you a few examples using the project canvas. So we have the Boeing 777. It's an amazing project. I researched that. I talked to Alan Mulally, who was the program director of this amazing program. He later became the CEO of Boeing and then was hired by Ford to turn around Ford. So this is a great example. And as you can see, if we use the project canvas and look at the Boeing program, we see that everything was green. Yes, the purpose is, you see in the pink, in the orange, build one of the most advanced aircrafts in history. That was the purpose. Budget estimate to over 5 billion. And they were dedicating resources fully. 20% more fuel efficiency aircraft, reduce develop time, increase market share. That's the goals, that's the benefits. On the people side, Alan Mulally, the sponsor, dedicated 100% of the time. The most successful projects have a very big dedication from senior leaders. In the case of the Boeing 777, Alan Mulally spent 100%. The resources, 10,000 individuals work on it. Imagine how challenging to coordinate that. The stakeholders, we had the Boeing company, the board, the shareholders, employees, a big list of stakeholders. The more stakeholders, the more communication we need. And then the deliverables, the creation, design, and Tiber computer, first time it happened in the aviation, powered by lighter twin engines. So you see that they took a waterfall approach with some agile concepts. Okay, already that hybrid was taking place then in the 80s. And then we had a really strong change management with weekly review meetings open to the whole project team, not just the steering committee. The whole team could join and listen to the weekly review meetings. Amazing, great ideas. You'll read more when you get my book because this is explained there. Another example, this project has not finished, but I like to see and try to predict project success. So reconstruction of the Paris Notre Cathedral. You remember it burned down a few years ago. So the president of France, Emmanuel Macron, said, we need to rebuild this and make it a great success. I want to make sure that we're ready by 2024. So they don't have that much time. If we look at the project canvas, we use the project canvas to look at the Notre Dame reconstruction project, it's all green. So they're addressing, again, the 9 building blocks perfectly. You have a big purpose. You can see rebuild one of France's greatest landmark, restore one of God's most magnificent churches. Big investment, of course, between 700 and 800 millions. The benefits are huge. They're going to have millions of visitors per year, right? This is huge. The people part, the sponsorship, the president of France, Macron, very heavily involved, Minister of Culture, and French president. You see, so very much, very well done. Task force, Notre Dame, so a big team of great experts working on that. The stakeholders, a lot of people, right? Again, very important, the communication. The deliverables, very challenging because they want to rebuild them with the ancient traditional techniques. So that takes a bit more time. The waterfall approach for the planning makes sense. They have a very strong deadline, which has been communicated. April 16, 2024. So a year and a half from now. And almost no resistance. There's a lot of support on this project because people want to make it. Another one is a fascinating project, which is also how companies and countries develop the COVID-19 vaccine. And you can see that part for me, knowing a bit the industry, how is it possible that we develop a vaccine in 10 months instead of the traditional 12 to 15 years? This is so disruptive, incredible, right? So the same, you can read that there's a higher purpose in this project, in a sense of urgency. When your projects have a sense of urgency, we cannot waste time. We need to do it as fast as possible. This makes a big difference. It creates a lot of focus. This is what happened with that project of the vaccine. The CEOs of the different companies that work, like BioNTech, Pfizer, Moderna, dedicate 100% of their time to this project. Usually CEOs don't spend a lot of time in projects. In this case, yes. Very flat structure, so very quick decision-making. A hybrid approach, obviously you cannot do a vaccine in 10 months with the traditional planning. They follow the phases, but they were using a hybrid approach. All the stakeholders and stakeholders supportive, even regulators and government and agencies, clients, vendors, all working together to make it work. So this is another of these examples where everything is green. That project has big chances of being successful. You can see that on the top. On the bottom is an example of a terrible project. This was the development of a platform, a website in the US in 2013, which was called homecare.gov. That website was developed in order to people in the US to go and get some insurance for the lower class so they could connect with doctors cheap, so that they don't have to pay a lot, and access to healthcare was so important. But the website, when they opened in October 1st, 2013, it collapsed. That collapsed. So analyzing the website project through the canvas, you could see that there were 5 elements and 6 with the cultures, 5 elements who were wrong out of the 9. 5 out of 9 were not well done. So it was going to fail. If your project has so many reds, things missing, that project is going to fail. So we need to take action. As a project manager, if my project is like this, I will call senior leaders, say, listen, we need to take action. We need to sponsor. We need to engage stakeholders. We need to develop a good plan. We need to do some testing and so on. So you can see the difference. When you use the canvas, you can have different outcomes, and you can get the attention of senior leaders and the team. We need to solve that project. And that's all. I just want to thank you for following this presentation. I hope you enjoy that. I hope it stretched a bit your mind. I always say that projects is the most motivating and inspiring way of work. If you are in a project with an ambition goal, a higher purpose, you want to do a better world, create a better company, create a better society, these projects are amazing, right? And that's what people want to work. That's what people remember after when they retire. So it's an amazing tool, projects and project management. And I'm talking to an audience which I know you appreciate projects. You are aware of the importance of projects in China. So I just want to congratulate you. And last, just where you can find information about me, there's my website, antonionieto-rodriguez.com. I know LinkedIn is not accessible in China, but if you could, there's a newsletter that I share for free. I have my company, the book. This is the English version. There are 2 credentials that I've developed, one on the project canvas. This is going to be available in October with APMG International. So it's called the Project Canvas Practitioner. So it's a test to see whether you can use the Project Canvas in your projects and put it in your CV, so that in a month or so should be live. And then there's the Strategy Implementation Professional, which is another one if you're looking into developing further your competencies in strategy implementation, also in APMG. Again, these are online courses in LinkedIn. I'm sorry that you cannot access. If you could, you'll find a lot about my teachings there. And that's it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Century Wave and PHI for supporting me and publishing my Harvard Business Review Project Management Handbook. Of course, thank you to HBR, and thank you to all of you. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoy this presentation. I hope you get a copy of my book and you reach out, and together we can deliver projects and succeed in this new, very exciting moment, the project economy. So thank you. Take care. Thank you very much.